tell us some of the differences between the original Underdog costumes and your old Underdog costumes and your new Underdog costumes?
Um, Basically, my old Underdog costume was just a simple ballet leotard. You have these leotards that look like bathing suits with sleeves, anywhere from long sleeves to short sleeves. I had only short sleeves. I didn't have tights, and my cape was just a crude piece of cloth. I wasn't proficient enough in those days to make costumes. When I took it up again, I added some features that were more authentic with his original costume, and yet allowed for practicality in wear and ease in dance movement. The original costume had the long, wide, flared sleeves. Let's see. Also, here at the hip line, you notice how the fabric seems to hang really loose. I think what it was supposed to be a jumpsuit. What I've always gone for is a separate top piece, like a dress, and then tights, or if the dress is real short, bloomers underneath. So to represent the loose hanging hip line, I made like a medieval knight's doublet and hose. I've got this top piece and trunks underneath, and the red tights and boots. Also, I don't think you can see it clearly with his feet, but what happened in most of the original cases was Underdog would be standing still. If you saw him in a side view, his cape was so long that it would drag behind him, somewhat like the train on a wedding gown. Now that might have looked nice, but for somebody dressed in the costume, the cape would have dragged along the ground, and he could also trip over it. So as you can see, this cloak is a bit shorter. It's adequately long enough, and yet isn't so long that I might trip over it. As far as these silver trims, they did not appear in Underdog's original costume. These were newly added in '89 to be symbolic of the silver anniversary. They will be removed once '89 is out, and then these areas of the suit will either be left blank or have some red decorations put on to match the cloth color. As far as using the cloak, maybe what you've noticed is the way Underdog is supposedly flexing his muscles, the way a bodybuilder would, like this. Sometimes I've done that, but what's more important nowadays is with the capes that I use for show purposes, I would use this one only for dramatic purposes, is to create the rays of energy which showed from his person. You might have seen in that picture, there were these lines coming out all around him, somewhat like a kid's drawing of the sun's rays. So in order to do that, what I did was, my more ornamental capes have trims on the insides. I grab hold of these capes and open them to let the trims show. But I can't bend the arms like that. My arms have to be straight. Maybe this is a good enough representation of strength and power without the elbows being bent. So we'll see in some of the subsequent showings of appearances I've made in '89 the different use of ornaments on the capes, and especially of one cape which is really representative of the silver anniversary.
Now we shall see some of the dance steps used to simulate Underdog in flight. To assume a flying pose, Underdog does what would be called arabesque in ballet, or scale in gymnastics. Having the one leg extended behind the body comes close to the classic still drawings of the hero in full flight, with the legs in back and the stomach facing downward. By rotating on the supporting leg, he does what is called a camel spin in skating, provided it is done quickly. If it is done at a slower speed, it is called the pivot, and is effective for turning corners in parades. Underdog creates the illusion of floating on air with the gliding run. He takes striding steps which emphasize fluidity rather than speed or impact. He might also include from time to time a leap or spin, as well as arm gestures throughout. These movements work best when done on maximum open floor space. When done in a continuous forward direction, the gliding run is effective for parades. If the floor space can be highlighted by electric lights, this movement style can be enhanced as the lights show. To launch himself skyward or to stay airborne as much as possible, Underdog does the runway, suggestive of an airplane about to take off. He runs forward in a straight line, inserting a big leap every few steps. It is important to control the landings for the maneuver to be smooth and fluid rather than bouncy, so the leaps may not be that high. When done outdoors, this is best done facing the wind, so the cloak can billow behind the wearer.